About a month ago, we reviewed the Samsung Odyssey G9 Neo, this monitor right here, but during that time, this monitor was mounted outside on the table on its original hardware. So what we had during that time in terms of idea was actually to round it into a racing rig, the one that we are seeing here, and we got this. What racing rig is this called again? The SimTech?
It's by SimMatch. They call this a GT1.
Okay, SimMatch GT1. I think it's also available in a variety of different configurations, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that we got here is, I don't know which configuration, I'll just leave some details on the screen here. It's highly adjustable, but in this video, we are not gonna talk about the racing rig. We're gonna talk about how we actually put this monitor into use. So yeah, let's begin. The first thing that we need to highlight is how we actually mount the monitor there. So the SimMatch Racing Simulator is actually quite configurable. We had to adjust the back of the... Actually, it's using a TV mount, so you can literally mount a TV here if you want to, but we're gonna mount this monitor instead. But since this monitor is using a 100 by 100 VESA mount, we had to be creative a little bit, and we eventually got it working. So overall, the mount is actually very secure. That's good. So we previously mentioned that the Odyssey G9 Neo has excellent color accuracy throughout the entire panel, great brightness, and everything just looks fantastic here, especially with that 240Hz refresh rate, G-Sync for zero screen tearing, and overall I really didn't play on this rig that much because I'm not much of a racing rig fan, but he is, so I'll just let him speak for a moment.
Okay, so the main reason why we wanted to experiment or experience the entire setup like this is because I do have a triple monitor setup at home. And a triple monitor setup can be very troublesome because you have to deal with all the cables. And of course, the other thing you need to worry about is to make sure your GPU has all the output for your monitor. So instead of dealing with all those mounting hardware and everything, so I thought like, hey, we got this supremely wide monitor, right? We just have to mount it once, just one power cable and one display cable to the PC, and then yeah, we get it working ready. And on top of that, because of the 1000R curvature of it, depends on what game you play, right? You can actually adjust the display one-to-one matching your real-life driving experience. In this case, I did some tuning here. So that's why we have the monitor mounted almost all the way down. So your dashboard is like behind your steering wheel. It's actually just like how you drive in your car. So
I also realized one thing, if you don't have triple monitor setup, you don't have to deal with the bezel. It could be quite distracting.
Yes, especially when some of those monitors nowadays, even though they say they have like thin bezels, but the bezels are still there.
Okay, yeah. I also realized you make a good point because you can only, one cable to hook up the monitor, then you don't have to deal with cable hell, especially power cable for triple monitors and then display cable for each of them is gonna be problematic. One more thing I think a lot of people don't realize is the color consistency between
yeah. You have to like do color calibration on 3 of them, and then just so that you can have like a consistent viewing experience.
Which is a big problem if you don't have a colorimeter, and that thing is not cheap.
Yeah, and then not just the color calibration, you also have to worry about the mounting, so that they are like angled at the exact direction at you, at both our left and right side.
Yeah.
So tuning that part is going to take most of your time before you like actually getting started into the game. And from what we can see here, of course, I would really like if there's more vertical space, but consider the resolution we're pushing right here, which is
5120 by 1440.
That is quite taxing on the GPU.
Yeah, and what GPU are we using now?
We're using the RTX 2080 Ti from Zotac.
I think you can get like at least 100 frames per second now.
We are getting about 100 frames per second. This monitor can go up to 240 Hz or 240 frames per second if the game can support it or your GPU can support it. But
Yeah,
but
this
consider
kind of high
right now we
resolution.
have like fast-paced game and high resolution. So that kind of refresh rate doesn't really affect you that much, honestly speaking. Because right now, especially we got the G Sync, so you can actually experience the game in the most fluid and tear-free experience, really.
Yeah, I can feel like this is a amazing experience. It's just very fluid, no stuttering, and yeah, like what you mentioned, no screen tearing is very important here.
Yeah.
Because you see, if you tear the entire screen, the entire
Yeah, when you
screen
tear,
starts
it's
to tear.
literally a long line of tearing pixels gone.
It's gonna be distracting. We did have some difficulties while mounting this monitor to the racing rig, is mostly because the included VESA mount adapter for this monitor doesn't give us that much leeway in terms of what screws are compatible. So luckily we found some other screws that we had lying around that works 100% so far at least. So crisis averted, I guess.
So on top of that, you also have to like, if there's an option for you to choose a mounting hardware, then you will have to like look into that. Like last time we did recommend that the Ergotron HX is the best monitor arm if you want to mount this on a monitor arm. But in this case, is what you're looking is a TV mounting hardware.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah, TV mounting hardware is very different compared to your desktop monitors. One question for you, do you actually prefer this setup or triple monitor setup? Because if you can see, right, if something happens to it like damage or water spillage or power supply failure, then would you think a triple monitor setup will have a backup? So if one monitor fails, you still have two monitors usable as opposed to this?
Well, this is very personal because it really depends on how you want to use. Just like in your case, you personally prefer a ultra wide monitor, 21:9. So definitely it's a personal preference. Some user they prefer 16:9, 16:10. So they would like go for like triple monitor setup. And then some like sim racers or whoever want a single monitor setup, supreme wide like this. I think this is a viable option for them because look at the bezel-less experience.
I think this kind of experience is better than triple 16:9 in vertical mode or horizontal mode, right?
Yes, in other words, because there's no bezel, it's like one single view, everything from here. So for the price of this thing is, I don't know,
How much is this?
I think right now it's 7,999.
Yeah,
8,000.
Yeah, the monitor, I think it's always on and off in terms of its discount. So I'll leave some current information on the screen. I think generally, like what we mentioned earlier in the review, there's literally no rival in what this monitor can do. Mini LED, super good color accuracy across the entire panel, fantastic brightness, high refresh rate, high pixel count, and also G-Sync compatible. So yeah, can't get any alternative in the market now. You know what? I'll just leave you some B-roll of him racing. Yeah.